Hello and welcome to the Sewing Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make these gorgeous little Christmas place settings. So they're great for filling with sweets for your Christmas table, and they're really quick and easy to make. So you can decorate them with buttons or with bells, or if you wanted to, you could embroider Merry Christmas and the person's name, and then you could stitch it down so it could also have their name on. You can make them bigger if you wanted to, so if you wanted a big one in the centre with lots of sweets. So I'm going to show you how to make this size today. So what you'll need for this is you'll need 2 pieces of fabric and an equilateral triangle. So my triangle measures 9.5 inches along the bottom. I did an angle of 60 degrees and then 9.5 inches to the top. So it has to be an equal triangle, all 3 sides equal, otherwise you won't get these folds right. You're going to need 2 pieces of contrasting Christmas fabric. So if you had some leftover layer cake squares, which are 10 inches, that would be ideal to use up with this. But for today, I've just got 2 pieces of fabric, so they contrast, because what you want is a different colour on the inside to the outside. And on one of these pieces, I have got some heavyweight iron-on Vilene, because you want something here to give this a bit of body so it stands up properly. So I've already ironed my Vilene onto this piece, and I'm going to put my 2 pieces of fabric together, and I'm going to put my triangle onto the fabric, hoping that it's going to be the right size. Oh yes, just look at that. In fact, I'm just going to move that over there because I think I've got a slightly smaller one underneath. So let me just go, hold on, let me turn it round. What I don't want to do is cut it out on camera and find it short, because that's the sort of thing that happens, isn't it? That's better. So what I do is I use my ruler and I put the ruler up against my template so I get a nice straight side, and cut that away. Being careful not to cut your template like I've just done. Carefully swing it around. And make my 3rd cut. And now I'm going to sew those together, right sides together, and I'm going to leave a little gap here for turning it through. So we're just going to go over to the sewing machine to do that. So I've just popped a pin onto each corner just to hold all my layers together. So I'm going to start halfway along so I can leave the gap for turning. And I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam. And then I'm going to snip off my corners and I'm going to turn it through and give it a good press. going to very carefully push out my 3 corners. It's just a little bit fiddly because you've got the stiffness of your violin. So just take your time till you're happy that you've got it all pressed out. So you've got it all poked out rather. Then we're going to give it a press. I'm going to tuck those in. And now the interesting bits to decide which you want on the outside and which you want on the inside. So if I want this to have the green on the outside, I put it with the white inside face to face like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew up, and I'll show you how to do this on the side where the gap isn't. That might be easier actually. So I've decided I'm going to have the green on the outside, the white on the inside. So I'm going to put it corner to corner, and then from the bottom up to here, I'm going to sew 2 inches. So I'm just going to measure there. I'm going to see, yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to pop a pin in to mark that. And then I'm going to come up this side here and do the same. And that will actually close up my gap. The other thing you can do is you can top stitch all the way round if you want to before you do this bit. So I think on this one you can see that I've done some top stitching, but on the other ones I haven't. So it's entirely up to you whether you want to do that or not. But the thing is that you must make sure that all 3 of your measurements are the same. So I've popped my pins in, and I'm now going to go back to the machine and I'm just going to sew up to there. But what I am going to do first is I'm going to change the thread on my machine to green. So with green thread on my machine, I'm now going to sew down from the pin that I've put in place. So I'm just going to pop my needle in where the pin is and slide the pin out. And I'm going to do a really, really small seam. I'm not doing a 1/4 of an inch. I'm doing possibly less than 1/8. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to reverse, and then I'm going to sew to the bottom. And again, I'm just going to do a little reverse stitch there just to finish it off. And I'm going to do all 3 sides like that. And then I'm just going to neaten up my threads. So I'll go back over to the other camera. There's always one, isn't there? And you think you've just got them all, and then you can see the last one. There we are. Now I'm going to push the base down, and then I'm going to fold back my corners like this on all 3 sides. And then I can decorate it. So I can either pop some buttons on or some little bells, or as I said with this one, you could do some embroidery and then stitch it down. So they are your little place settings. And if you wanted to do them bigger, you can. but these I think are just perfect for a few sweets, or even if you wanted to give somebody a small special gift, you could pop it in there. So as always, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.